We'll call to order the meeting of the Haverford Township Zoning Hearing Board of Thursday, June 2nd, 2022. Present at the front table to my far left is Jessica Vitale, a voting member.
Good evening.
Next to Jess is Ed McGargy, a voting member. To my left, Bill Malone, our solicitor. To my right, Jesse Poynton, a voting member.
Good evening.
Bill Rhodes is not present this evening. Jesse, you want to lead us in the pledge?
Stand if you're able. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic that stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
And of course, Kelly Kirk and Margie Buchanan from the Codes Office. All right, we have 2 decisions tonight and 4 new cases. The first decision is case Z22-07, 731 Old Buck Lane, LLC, owner of 731 Old Buck Lane, Haverford, PA, DC folio number 2205006830. And unless somebody specifically requests it, I'm not going to read the rest of the description into the record. Jessica, would you please take that decision?
Sure. I would vote to approve the application with the following conditions. Condition number 1, the sign pillars are to be stone instead of the brick depicted on the exhibits. Condition number 2, all existing mainline art center signs on the Buck Lane property and on Lancaster Avenue will be removed. And condition 3, the work will be completed within 1 year and in accordance with the notes of testimony.
Ed?
I concur.
Jesse?
I concur.
And so do I. That application's approved 4-0 with those conditions. Good luck.
Thank you. Is there anything official that I need?
You'll get a letter from the Codes Office probably Monday, but
Thank you very much, everyone. I appreciate it.
you're welcome.
Thanks.
Our next decision is case Z22-09, David and Michelle Yurkowitz, owner of 2406 Clover Lane, Havertown, PA, DC folio number 2203-00501000. And unless somebody specifically requests, I won't read the rest of the description into the record. Jesse, would you please take that decision?
Yes, I would vote to approve the requested variances for case Z2209 with the following conditions. 1, no parking space shall be permitted in the front as depicted in the exhibits. 2, rainwater shall be managed so as not to adversely affect neighboring properties. And 3, project shall be completed within 1 year and in accordance with the notes of testimony.
Jessica?
I disagree.
Ed?
I agree.
And so do I. That application's approved 3-1 with those conditions. 4 new cases tonight, the first of which is Z22-08, Raymond and Cassandra McNulty, owners of 104 Peach Lane, Havertown, PA, DC folio number 2209-007301, who seek a variance from the provisions of section 182-206C7, 182-206C4, to construct a 220 square foot rear deck that will encroach into the required 25-foot rear yard setback by 12 feet and exceed the allowable 30% or 1,846.2 square feet of building coverage by 217.8 square feet. Property is zone R4 and located in the 9th Ward. You guys here? Yeah.
Good evening.
Hello. So I need to swear you guys in. Ladies first, please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
And your full name and address for the record?
Cassandra Lena McNulty, 104 Peach Lane, Havertown, PA, 19083.
Okay, please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
And your full name and address for the record?
Raymond James McNulty, address is 104 Peach Lane, Havertown, PA, 19083.
Okay, so,
Sure.
all right, so you submitted an application to the township, and you have drawings and calculations attached to the application that I'm sure you're going to want to refer to during the course of your hearing. So they need to be marked as exhibits and made part of the record so that you can refer to them in this hearing. Bill, do you want to? So Mr. Malone's going to help you mark your exhibits, and then we'll help you move them to the record, and we'll go from there. Mine, Bill.
No, I'm just double checking.
I've got mine, 'cause this is the,
But I'm going to sit down there and identify each of the exhibits
Okay.
and describe what they are. Use, and refer to them.
So that's A1, for example. Okay.
and, yeah. Weird. Where are they? Is that on the back?
Render and what it's going to look like.
Understood.
Identify this, I'm going to hand them to you.
Great, thank you.
What do we have, Billy?
And A1 through A5, I'm going to follow along, I'm going to hand them the exhibits. Hold out these.
You don't need
Hold out the deed because while we were off the record, I approached the applicants with the exhibits in their packet. I've pre-marked them. I want to identify them and get the consent of the applicants that I properly identified these exhibits. I will then give them their exhibits, and they will hand them up during the presentation of their case. So Exhibit A1 is a plot plan with a yellow highlighted section around what's identified as Lot 2. Is that correct?
That is correct.
A2 is an as-built plan with more detail about what you are proposing to do. Is that correct?
A2 is a plot plan, an as-built plan. So
As-built.
it doesn't specifically indicate that the proposal, however, the first exhibit that you mentioned does.
Okay. A3 is the building coverage and impervious surface calculations.
Correct.
A4 are 2 photographs of the existing conditions of the house.
Correct.
And A5 is a rendering of what the proposed deck would look like. Is that
Correct.
And of course, you want to put those exhibits into the record, right?
Correct.
So now that we got through the formality, please tell us about what you would like to do and why.
Sure. I'm Cassandra McNulty, as I mentioned. We live at 104 Peach Lane. It is a new construction property. As you can see in Exhibit A4, there is an existing back door, which is 5.5 feet off the ground. It's currently covered and inaccessible, and we are looking to construct a deck off the back of the house with steps down to a lower level deck, which will then have steps down to the ground in order to make the back door accessible to our backyard. To do this, we would need to exceed the rear yard setback, encroach into the rear yard setback of 25 feet by 12 feet. And we would also need to exceed the allowable 30% building coverage by 3.54%. Are there any other additional information I could provide?
Cassandra, it looks like on A4, you have a sliding glass door that really leads to nowhere.
This is correct, yes.
What was the purpose of the door, do you know?
The purpose of the door is to exit the backyard, I assume potentially due to code. I'm not quite sure, but there ultimately should be some steps leading down to the ground, in my opinion.
always hold my questions to last, so I'll start with the board. Jessica?
So Kelly, correct me if I'm wrong, you are allowed to have a stair down to the ground in the setback, correct?
Absolutely. Stairs and a small
Landing.
landing that's appropriate would be permitted to encroach into a setback.
Have you considered just building a stairway down to a stone patio, which would not affect your building coverage?
We have considered that. However, my father is 82 years old, stroke survivor, is unable to use stairs, especially with a potential steep stair down to the ground. And also some of the contractors we spoke with indicated that building a patio could result in us having to tear up our neighbor's yard by moving some of the heavy equipment through the yard. So we opted to do a deck, if you permit, because of the accessibility to our family members, and also so it would result in not having to tear up our neighbor's yard.
Does your father live with you currently?
No, but he comes over frequently.
Okay. Do you have a porch in your front yard at all, or?
No.
Okay. And did you buy the house directly from the builder? I know you said it was a new house.
We did.
And did they give any indication as to why the door was built this way?
No.
Okay. I don't have any other questions.
Ed?
So the issue that, why you need this is, can you explain to us why it's a hardship that you do not have this deck?
Sure. In addition to what we had previously talked about with the issues with stairs, we would prefer to have a lower level deck so as not to have to tear up our neighbor's yard by bringing in all of the heavy equipment to build a patio.
Okay, heard those ones. Okay, thank you.
Justin?
Could you, I didn't understand your statement about your father's use of stairs. Because there are stairs in your proposed rendering, right?
There are.
Could you explain that again for me? I didn't follow that.
It appears, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, that we would be allowed to build stairs off the back of our house. However, that would be inaccessible to children and my father. And therefore, we are hoping to build a landing off the back of the house, which is safer for him to be able to exit the back door. There are steps in the rendering. However, there is a landing in advance of the steps, and there's also less steps than there would be if we just built it straight down to the ground in one shot.
I see. So you're what you're saying is instead of one long run of stairs, you would prefer two shorter runs of stairs? You feel that would be a safer way to ultimately climb up the height from the ground to the back?
That is correct, yeah. As shown in Exhibit A5, there's two smaller sets of steps, not one long set of steps, and the top landing is quite large enough so that he could actually sit out there without having to exit down to the bottom level.
So, I see. And it also appears in the rendering on A5 that it's also depicting a location for a grill. Is that how you plan to use that upper landing / deck?
Yes.
But it would also be a place that your father could sit without going all the way down?
Correct.
Okay, I understand better now. And the dimensions that you show of the proposed deck, let's see, I think that's on A1.
That is correct.
It looks like it's 8 by 8 and 12 by 13.
Correct.
Is that the smallest size that you feel will meet your needs?
That is correct, yes.
Is there any wiggle room in there if there was a condition, if we were to, approve this? Is there any dimension, smaller dimension that you would accept?
From some of the contractors we spoke with, the top level that's pretty much the minimum that would allow us to have a safe area at the top with a grill and an area to walk and access the steps. The lower level is potentially has some wiggle room, although we did some measurements and to allow some sitting out there, it would be a little tight if we shrunk that down.
As I had the same thoughts as Jessica as to why, when I first saw this, why you couldn't just do a stair down to a patio. And so could the equipment or the potential damage to your neighbors, is that because the side yards between the house and your neighbor's property is not wide enough to get the equipment back?
That is correct. Yeah, if they brought heavy equipment in, it would have to be driven on our neighbor's yard.
Is there something on the one side that has a 12-foot setback? Is there some landscaping or something that would prevent, a normal-sized piece of equipment, like a small bobcat, to get through there?
There is landscaping towards the front of the house, about 8 feet from the side of the house. So if you're looking at A2 and you're holding the street, Peach Lane down towards you, you're looking at the right side, there is landscaping about 8 feet off of the side of the house.
Is there potential that landscaping could be removed to allow only your property to be used for any equipment and then it could be replaced?
No, that's not possible.
Is it a large tree, or is it just?
There's various bushes and trees, and it would be very cost prohibitive to remove it because it was installed at our direction by the builder.
Okay. So I think you previously stated the builder did not point out to you that that you would not be able to build a deck by right?
He didn't specifically say whether or not we could.
So we had to come here.
He said we had to come here. So here we are.
No other questions. Thank you.
I think what everyone's grappling with is you're requesting a variance. In order to get a variance, you need a hardship. So I suppose it's open to interpretation whether your dad visiting constitutes a hardship. And you also have to ask for the minimum relief necessary to, satisfy or help with your hardship. So that's why Jesse asked, is that the minimum size of a landing? And I think you were referring to the 12 by 13, right, Jess?
Well, both, but the 8x8 also seemed to show other uses that exceeds a landing, specifically a grill.
Right.
There is an extended, as you can see in Exhibit A4, there is a gas line extending from the house in that location, so that it would be not possible to put a grill elsewhere in the yard.
So is the lower landing, the 12 by 13, the minimum size?
Yes. And we purposely would like it lower so as not to impose on our neighbors in the back.
Any other questions? Jessica?
No questions.
Ed?
No question.
Jesse?
Well, I guess just to get when we're faced with similar things, we also ask about your use underneath. Since this one is so tall, would you be using the space underneath for anything?
No, we would just keep it as grass.
And would you be putting some kind of enclosure around it, like a lattice or anything like that?
No.
Most likely not, because there's animals, as you know, that live under that. So we would like to keep it open to avoid.
And you would accept the condition to not use it for storage?
Oh, correct. Yeah, we have plenty of storage elsewhere.
Okay. And any, besides the gas line, would there be any other utilities on the deck? Any
No.
Electric or anything like that?
We are not planning to put electricity on the deck.
Okay. And let's see, no plumbing
No.
other than the gas line? Okay. All right, no other questions, thanks.
And what materials are you intending to use?
Composite, TimberTech.
I have no other questions. Anything else before we go to the audience? Anything you guys would like to add?
I think we covered it all.
With that, I'm going to ask if there's anyone present that received certified mail that wishes to testify about this case? Anyone that received regular mail? Any other residents? Up, come forward. Please raise your right hand. Please swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
And your full name and address for the record, please.
Nick Caramanico, 108 Peach Lane, Havertown, PA, 19083, next door. Caramanico.
And what would you like to tell us, Nick?
There isn't a whole lot of room between their house and my house to bring something through, and they would be ripping up the grounds and my shed in the back as well. So it's kind of where I stand on bringing construction equipment to the neighborhood. And I did receive.
You've seen the plans, right?
Yes, yeah.
Are you in favor of their application?
Yeah, I'm not opposed. I'll say it that way.
Do you have a deck on your house?
I do.
And is your yard bigger than theirs?
Yes,
Is your deck about the same size as the one that they're proposing?
it's larger. My deck is larger.
Okay. Any questions for Nick? Jessica?
No questions.
Ed? No. Jesse?
Actually, may I?
Go ahead.
Do you mind? Do you know what your lot size is?
It's an irregular lot, so it's 155 by 80 is my guess, but I don't know for sure.
Okay. All right, so it's slightly irregular, but approximately the same size, like area-wise, maybe?
It's about the same size, yeah, yeah,
That's all I wanted. Thank you.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, thanks. Anyone else? With that, we will close the record on this case, and the decision will be rendered at our next regularly scheduled meeting on June 16th. Thank you, guys.
Can I give these back to you?
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you. Okay. We're going to go off the record. Okay. Our next case is D22-10, Leigh Campbell, owner of 1305 Roosevelt Avenue, Havertown, PA, DC folio number 2201-01600000, who seeks a variance from the provisions of section 182-207C5 to encroach into the required 30-foot front yard setback by 6 feet to construct a 6 by 19-foot covered front deck. Property is zoned R5 and located in the First Ward.
Mr. Kane, while we were off the record, I coordinated with the applicant. I am going to identify 17 exhibits, confirm that I have identified them directly, and then hand them to the applicant for presentation of her case.
Okay, how about if I swear in first? Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
And your full name and address for the record?
Leigh Campbell.
I did butcher your name.
It's okay. Happens all the time. 1305 Roosevelt Avenue.
Okay.
Lee, you heard me in the last case, and then what I spoke to Mr. Kane about. I'm going to identify these exhibits. Exhibit A1 is a plot plan.
Yes.
A2 is the front deck cover plan and detail.
Yes.
A3 is the rear deck plan and detail.
Yes.
A4 is both the rear deck plan and detail as well as the front deck and cover plan and detail.
Yes.
A5 is another plan of the front deck regarding the cover and detail.
Yes.
A6 is a more detailed plan concerning the support proposed for the deck.
Yes.
A7 is another plan concerning joists and support.
Yes.
A8 appears to be a map that was printed, whether it's Google or some other internet showing the streets around your house, and it appears that you then put circles around the houses in your vicinity that have a home with a porch roof.
Yes.
And A9 through 17 are photographs of such porches.
Yes.
Lee, is one of these photos your house?
No, it is not.
Now that we got that out of the way.
Yeah.
Please tell us a little bit about what you would like to do.
I'm just trying to have a front porch built on my house, and a back porch as well, but the front porch, the way the house is, it's 30 feet, which meets the requirement, but I can't, I need the extra 6 feet variance in order to complete the project.
Okay, do you have any other cover at the entrance to the front of your home?
No.
Okay, do you have a basement?
A basement, yes.
Do you ever get water in that basement?
No.
Question, Jesse?
Do you have, so you've provided many examples as shown in all these photos and the plan. So can we refer to A8? I don't know if I can put it up on the screen, but you have A8 in front of you?
Yes.
Okay, great. So is your house denoted with the
Blue little,
blue?
yep,
Yeah,
home one.
okay. So it appears that there's many homes in your general neighborhood have a very similar covered front porch to what you were proposing?
Yes.
Okay. But it doesn't look like immediately across the street or when you're facing your house to the right, there's not one of these examples. Is that correct?
Correct.
Is that because those houses are of a different model than your home?
No, they're roughly the same.
And do you have, is your garage converted to living space, or is it a garage?
It's a garage.
It's still a garage, okay. And could you describe your, general reasons why you want to do this porch?
Right now, when I am outside, I have no place to sit. I have, it's full sun, there's nothing blocking it. I don't have any trees. So I'm just looking for a place to sit where I'm covered away from the sun so I can protect my skin, and be able to enjoy space outside of my living area of my home inside. Have some extra space, living space on the outside. Not living, but, sitting space.
Do you have any specific medical conditions that prevent you from being out in the sun?
No, I just don't want to get skin cancer.
Fair enough. Would you describe that the porch that you're proposing, would it be in a very similar nature to the others that are depicted in these photos, including like the type of construction? And I know you've provided some of the details, but generally, are you trying to match the general?
Yes, it would go along with the aesthetic of the neighborhood. It's not very large. It would probably match the most on Exhibit A9, probably 313 Roosevelt maybe, but a little bit smaller.
And it would not go, as you said, you still have a driveway, so you would not go, it would not go across the front of the driveway?
No, it would not.
And would you accept a condition if we were to grant the variance that you would not enclose the deck in the future?
Yes.
And could you describe any utilities that you might have planned for the front porch?
No utilities, just, there's a existing kind of light kind of there on the wall. I would just use that on the outside of the house.
So just electric would be the
Yes.
only utility? Okay. No other questions?
Lee, how does your house line up in terms of being distant from the street to your neighbors? Is your house closer, further away, basically in line?
The neighbors on the side are just like their backyards into my property. And across the street is the front, but it's a very irregular shaped lot.
Could you expand on that a little bit?
The house that is to the, if I'm standing in front of the house looking to the left, they had the similar size house, but they built an addition to it, so that's covering their, they don't really have a front or side yard, they put an addition on it. The other house next to me on the right, it's just a yard. There's no house next to it, it's like the back of their house, which would be on Sunny Hill.
And your lot is irregularly shaped, you said?
Yes, the backyard just like goes back into like a little point and has,
Y-shaped?
yeah, kind of. All the other houses are just their backyard and there's like a fence there, but
So it's fair to say you're the only house that's in the middle, and then you're next to two corner properties.
yes.
And they both have, I see the photo of 1307, and they have a front porch, right?
Yeah, they have a front porch and that addition.
So is your house parallel with theirs, or is it more forward or set further back?
It's, if you look at 1307, that first picture, the very top corner to the right, you see this little, next to the tree, there's a brick little triangle. That's where my house starts. That's the side of my house.
Ed?
Do you know what the right-of-way is for Roosevelt?
The right-of-way?
Yeah, it's one of the things I'm looking at the property, it's kind of unusual, the property line, that looks like that. Doesn't have the right-of-way labeled, but doesn't measurement for how far it is from the third line. Looks like a significant.
Yes, so that, where that line is, there's still yard, and then there's the sidewalk and the street. So where that property line is, there's still extra yard before the sidewalk starts.
Who developed this plot plan? I don't know.
A1 is, I think it's my site plan.
Who developed it yourself?
Someone on the internet did. My site plan is the company, I think.
I'm sorry. Okay, I seen on your record, and I don't think you said it out loud here tonight, was, did you estimate the other properties that you have photographs of, would they have a porch on the front of their property that they aren't still not in compliance with 30-foot setback, or they are?
I don't think that they are. I didn't physically measure, but some are very, very small, and even more in the neighborhood, more streets like Upland and just going all the way back to Lawrence. I mean, there's some that have maybe 10 feet, and there's a porch right there. So I only took a small sample, but I didn't physically measure with a measurement stick.
Okay, is your home a similar age, and it's a brick?
It is brick, yes.
Okay. Now, you are proposing something different than I've seen in the photograph. You're proposing a deck as opposed to the cement porch like a lot of them seem to be. Why is that?
You mean like the base is cement?
Right.
And all of them? Just didn't like that look.
But do you think that your type of style is going to clash with the rest of the neighbors?
I don't think you'll see the base of it, because there is going to be siding. I have it set up where it would be a gate on it, because I have a child and a dog. Like I don't know what to call it, an enclosed gate.
Okay. No other question. Thank you.
Jessica?
I have a question for Kelly first.
Yes.
Kelly, do you know what the right-of-way is on this part of Roosevelt?
It is, in the deed that she provided with the application, it is 50 feet on Roosevelt.
And is that greater than the average
That is
right-of-way?
extremely normal. In older sections, it is sometimes a bit smaller. It can range from 45 to 33. But 50 feet is actually the current standard.
Okay, thank you. You mentioned you have a daughter.
Yes,
How old is she?
9.
9. Does she tend to play more in the front yard or the backyard?
We do play in the front because the backyard, I have all these homes and a fence. If we were to play a ball, it would go over and I would constantly have to go and get it. So the front yard is open, so we just we play out there.
So I noticed that you're building a deck in the back that's not covered. Is there any reason why you would like to have both living spaces?
There is a little, I have an existing step going down, but I don't really have a place to put a grill or a chair or anything. So it's just long enough to put a grill and maybe a chair. That's what that purpose is for.
Okay, I don't have any other questions.
Have you talked to your neighbors about this, please?
Yes.
And did they seem in favor?
Yes, they wish me good luck.
Any other questions, Jess? No. Ed?
No other question.
Jessica? Anything you'd like to add, Lee?
No.
Okay. With that, I'll ask if there's anyone present that received certified mail that wishes to testify. Anyone that received regular mail? Any other residents of Haverford Township? With that, we'll close the record on this case, and the decision will be rendered either this evening or, if not this evening, at our next regularly scheduled hearing on June 16th.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. We may as well try to knock it out.
Yeah.
I should have announced the last one that way. If we can zip through these next two, then we'll have time. All right, our next case is Z22-11, Pain Away of Philly, Inc., doing business as Bonafide and Do Real Estate Holding LLC, owners of 2020 Darby Road, Havertown, PA, DC folio number 2203-0067000, who seek a variance from the provisions of section 182707B, which requires personal service establishments to provide one off-street parking space for every 100 square foot of customer service area, and one space per employee where 0 spaces are provided. This will increase the existing non-conforming parking of an office use by 9 or more spaces, depending on the number of employees. Property is owned C3 and located in the 3rd. Hello.
Hello, good evening. Nice to be here before you. I am David Henry, local counsel in the area here in Havertown. I represent the applicants who are present here and sitting in the room. Did you want to mark the exhibits as you've done previously, or how do we want to proceed?
I typically let the attorney proceed.
Okay. Well, I just was looking at your procedure before where you're handing out exhibits. So I do have the exhibits already marked in your packets. I don't know if you want to go with those numbers or how you want to proceed on that. The only other thing I would like to submit is that since the time of the filing of this application, the name Bonafide has been registered, and I have copies of that here present. So it's a registered entity in Pennsylvania. Would you like me to present that? Do you care? Not necessary?
No.
Okay, all right, so it is a registered entity. I just wanted to make you aware of that.
Okay.
So going through
this case here, I would just like to briefly read, and I'll change the little page here. Hopefully I'm doing it right. For the attachment, there is one correction, and it's my mistake. There is apparently one off-street parking spot in the back of the building. So there is a mistake in the application in saying that there is no off-street parking. There is one on the backside. I'm just going to read into the record our attachment here. According to the Township of Haverford zoning ordinance, section 183-707, use of a personal service establishment requires one off-street parking space for each 100 feet of customer service area, in addition to one space for each employee. Applicant intends to use the space as a massage and acupuncture business. The immediately prior occupant was a locksmith. It was Schenker Lock, with a square footage use consisting of 1,050 square feet, which required one space for each 200 square feet of floor area. That's for the prior occupant, Schenker Lock. Under the current proposed use, there's approximately 838 square feet of customer service area, and a correction here of one off-street parking space. Therefore, the change in use would change the existing non-conforming off-street parking requirement from 6 spaces to 9 spaces. Getting to the most important part for your consideration here is just the practical implications, which I set forth in this section. The applicant's actual need for parking is far less than what is predicted under the current zoning ordinance, because there would be one employee at any given time in the office and only one client at a time due to the proper scheduling of clients. Unlike a locksmith business or other offices, office buildings, or banks, there's a predictable flow of clients and very few, if any, drop-in patrons. Indeed, with the scheduling of one client at a time, it is foreseeable that an additional client may come early, making the vehicle parking count rise from taking of 2 spaces, one for the employee and one for the client, to 3, one additional space for the early arriving client. But this would be uncommon, and even if common, would only result in the use of 3 total spaces at any given time. Accordingly, if the property is already permitted 6 spaces, then the actual use of this space frees up 3 additional parking spaces. Moreover, the property is located in an area where businesses are favored and where there is ample on-street metered parking, along with the spacious West Benedict parking lot just a few yards away. I believe that's also called the South Ardmore parking lot. I may be corrected. Is that correct? South Ardmore parking lot. Accordingly, applicant's use of the property does not have any negative consequence to the neighborhood or parking situation. In fact, applicant's use improves the parking situation by freeing up an additional 3 spaces at any time. And so for these reasons, we're requesting that the board allow the variance request. Going through, are there any questions at this time before I make a point of some of the exhibits?
Yeah, I just want to make sure I get your identification of the exhibit clear for the record.
Sure.
So when you do, let's just make sure we're clear about the description of
Which document?
document we're referring to.
Okay, yeah, so just by way of quick reference for the exhibit list, I have an Exhibit A, which is the application, an Exhibit B, which is the notice and acknowledgement, an Exhibit C, which is the zoning officer denial letter, an Exhibit D, which is a schematic of the building. I don't believe that's necessarily relevant for today, but I included it. Exhibit E consists of the deed, the purchaser's affidavit, the HUD one, just showing ownership of the property, so that's linked in. Paragraph F, Exhibit F, it consists of various incorporation documents, which consist of paying away of Philly, entity registration, due real estate holding, entity registration, their IRS EIN, and the operating agreement. Again, I don't feel that's necessary for our argument today, but it's just for your evaluation to make sure that all the legal documents are in order, which I contend that they are. I think that the most important exhibit would be, for our purposes today, would be Exhibit G, which consists of photographs and maps of the location. And so the way I would then, for purposes of today, if we're going to identify them, I would just have them identified as G1 through whatever the final page is. So it'd be G1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So is that fair and does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. You know, looking at, if you want to go ahead and look at Exhibit G1, which would be the map, it's a Google printout map of just the location, and I'll turn this page here to where we're at, so everybody can see. Okay. So I have G1 on the projector now. Not sure it shows up as good as I have the printout version, but the location is 2020 Darby Road, Havertown, PA. If you look at that exhibit and you go along Darby Road towards where the Brick and Brew is, where Eagle Road is, if you go up there, basically a block and a half, and to the left is where the parking, the South Ardmore parking lot is. If I had counted correctly, and we'll go to G1, 2, 3, go to G4, so the fourth page. And it doesn't show up well here at all on the overhead, but on the printout it's much clearer. If I counted correctly, there are 33 parking spots there within a block and a half of the establishment, which provides ample parking, in addition to the ample street parking, which is evident in the subsequent exhibits, which show that there is, on Darby Road, considerable on-street parking with meters. Importantly, next to the establishment is, you know, it's businesses. There are businesses all around, all up and down on Darby. And so for purposes of the location for this establishment is such that it's not disrupting the neighborhood because it's actually in what you would consider the town center. It's on the main business route in the area. They want to contribute to the community and they're willing to do so. They've purchased the property and they want to make an investment in the community and in their business. I would like to just also take a second, if you'd indulge me, to read something I feel is important. You may already be aware of it, or maybe you aren't. So there is a Haverford Township comprehensive plan. I don't believe it's been adopted yet, but the draft I have is of April 2022. It is not an exhibit in the tab or in the documents provided, but I just wanted to read from that on page 16. And again, this is from the Haverford Township Comprehensive Plan draft dated April 2022. And what it says here, and I think it's important for your consideration of what's going on generally in the Havertown area, it says it may be appropriate to reduce these are recommendations, by the way. It may be appropriate to reduce the amounts of required off-street parking spaces that need to be provided for restaurants and retail businesses if there is a municipal parking lot within a specified distance from the business, which there is here, I would contend. It's also pointing out and says, an applicant could also be offered the option of paying a fee in lieu of providing parking with that money used by the township to provide additional public parking or to lease private parking for public use. The only reason I bring that up is because I think we're all aware with some of the businesses that have gone in, whether it's the Brick and Brew or some of these other businesses, that there is a real problem with parking along Darby Road for essentially the town center. And the township has done a great job with adding the parking lot there, the South Ardmore parking lot, which has greatly helped the situation. Also with the metered parking all along Darby Road. And so for those reasons, it's our contention that the request for the variance should be approved. You know, if you look at section 182-1004 of the Township of Haverford zoning code, You know, part of your variance consideration is whether there's an unnecessary hardship. I would contend that there's a hardship for any business there, in the sense that any business is going to have a variance in order to carry on its business based on what the off-street parking requirement is. If you look at Section 1B of that, it says, there is no possibility that the property can be developed in strict conformity with the provisions of this chapter. That's not entirely true here. You know, you could have a locksmith, as was the prior occupant, with the 6 spaces, and where under the code it's saying that there's a requirement of 9 spaces based on, you know, the fact that it's personal service and the square footage. However, I think in reality that does pose a hardship because it's too narrowly tailored. These people, this business will have a regular flow of patrons at a predictable level. In fact, I feel that the case is made that it's actually improves the traffic situation or the parking situation because there won't be unknown periods of time where an unknown amount of people just show up and visit the establishment. And so for those reasons, I feel that is satisfied. 1C, that such unnecessary hardship that has not been created by the appellant. They have not created this hardship. The parking situation is what it is. All the businesses there have been dealing with it and coming before the board, as you know, to request variances as applicable. So I don't feel that this is anything out of the ordinary. And so for those reasons, we feel that this should be granted, and I'm here to answer any questions.
Ed?
Yes, is there, you said that the locksmith was a business, but it says on the sign that it's for commercial and residential properties. Do you have any proof or any evidence that suggests that they were actually a storefront and not just a place of business where they would respond out to the customers?
Well, what I do have, I wasn't in Schenker Lock when it was operating, so I've never been inside the space, so I understand your question. The only thing I can say to that is, if you look at exhibit, allow me 1 second to turn to it. G, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If you go to exhibit G10, it won't prove, I think, the answer that you're looking for. It just says Schenker Law Company. As far as whether people visited that space or not at that time, I don't know. But what I do know is there is actually, that is the building. Previously, it said Schenker Law Company. My understanding is that it carried on as a regular law company and that people would visit it. Regardless of whether people did or did not visit it, it still was allowed to have the 6 off-street, the 6 off-street parking. Our contention is that we would agree to keep it the same, 6 off-street parking spaces, but in actuality, we would be using less. The applicant would be using less.
Whether or not you would or would not, that's not what's required by the ordinance. So you have requested to have a use in our zoning code which increases the amount of parking required according to the zoning code.
That's correct, yes, sir.
You're moving on. You didn't mention, or maybe I didn't hear, what's the second floor?
Pardon? Huh?
So
I don't know who this gentleman is, but yes, the second floor is an apartment, yes, sir.
Okay, so did you account for that parking requirement?
I'm sorry,
Please don't call out.
there's somebody speaking.
You'll have an opportunity to come speak if you'd like to, but allow this gentleman to put his case in chief on.
Thank you. So yes, there is an apartment upstairs. The owners are here, and they can probably answer more specifically some of the questions you have pertaining to that. I don't know personally whether it's currently rented or not, so I would, if you want an answer to that question, I would, request that you just ask my clients
Okay, but you didn't put that in your calculation for the number of parking spots needed.
Well, for the commercial space,
Well, it's the
for the
building.
personal service space. Okay, I understand what you're saying. So, yes, the ordinance requires, in this scenario, 9 off-street parking spaces
Just for the
for
business,
the business.
and you didn't include the apartment.
That would be correct. So
Does he
that
own
would
the whole
be,
building?
that would be the reason why in the back of the building, there is the one space. And Beren, do you want to come up and answer that?
Gentlemen,
Hey,
ladies and
hey,
gentlemen,
I need to swear you. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
And your full name and address for the record, please?
Boren Du, 1367. Yeah, Boren. EU, Delta Uniform.
Before you get to that, did you hear your counsel's recitation of the facts and his position in this matter? Okay, and do you feel that you fully understood it?
Yes, sir.
And are you willing to adopt that as if it was your own testimony?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead, Ed.
The question is about the apartment on top. Do you intend to continue to rent that space out?
So to answer your question, my mother, which is the owner, we are the owner of the property, she will actually be living upstairs by herself.
And when you are modifying the contractor for an additional parking spot out back, is it your intent that those 2 spots will be restricted for the apartment?
Say again, I'm sorry.
The question is, it says in the testimony here that or the written record here, that you were going to have a contractor come and add an additional spot in the rear of the property.
Right, our plan, so currently there is a, I guess, staircase going from the 2nd floor down to the 1st floor. So that blocks, that kind of blocks our, only give us enough space for 1 parking spot. Our intention is to, we want to apply to construct a deck so that underneath we'll have space for another parking spot.
But as of right now, that has not been applied for, and we don't know if that's even going to be approved. So there is the 1 spot in the back.
So am I hearing correctly that then the business downstairs will require 9 spots, and I believe the apartment would have to have 2 spots?
That would be correct.
Okay. And do you know whether or not the apartment was rented prior to by the lock company, or did they use it for an apartment?
I believe it was used as an apartment, but I'm not sure it was rented or not.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Jessica?
Exhibit D shows a plan of the first floor space.
Would you give me 1 second to turn to that, please?
Problem.
Thank you.
Is this the proposed layout for your business, or is this what is existing?
That's the existing layout.
When your business moves in, are you intending to build individual rooms for clients? How will the layout look in general?
So our plan is to create a comfortable amenity for our clients. So we would have a reception area out in the front, and then we'll have reflexology and the massage areas for each individual client. So we'll have room in back. So depending on their need, either they have injured, because we have another business in Philadelphia, and we're specialized in toilet massage and acupuncture, as well as in the various of Chinese treatment. I'm sorry, as well as other Chinese medical treatments.
So do each of those treatment or specialties have their own room? Is
Not
that what you're
necessarily.
saying?
So
Okay.
we will have place for reflexology, which is a chair for building design, and then we have a massage table. for
So
building.
is it going to be, I'm sorry if I may,
Well, I can just tell
Yes,
you sort of
yes.
what I'm driving at. The testimony is that you would schedule clients such that there was only one client at the time.
Yes,
So I would expect that you would have either one room or maybe 2 rooms at the most to allow for cleaning
right,
between
depending on the
clients.
service that we provide, yeah.
So would you accept a condition that you would have no more than 2 rooms within the space to see clients? Okay, thank you.
thank you. Thank you for your question.
Is that it, Jess?
Yes, thank you.
Let's see.
Staying on Exhibit D, could you bring D up? You have the control.
I can put it up
Yeah,
on the
thanks.
screen here, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
I don't think they scanned in there. This might show up good. Almost there, I suspect.
Okay.
Okay, well, let me go back.
There it is. Okay, perfect. The, towards the bottom of the page, there is a dashed set of lines that I think there's a dimension that says, I think 34 feet, 4.5 inches. Do you know what is that depicting? That's outside of the building footprint that exists currently?
Which one are you referring to?
Right here.
The dotted line? Oh, yeah.
The
that's
dotted line.
I believe that's outside of the building.
What is there now? Could you describe the condition of that space as it currently exists?
Yeah, sure. Right now, it is an alleyway for the rest of the neighbor to drive in and to park their cars nearby.
And I can show you a picture of that, sir. Let me just get to that.
Is the ground surface, is it asphalt, like a parking lot?
I believe so, yeah.
If you go to, I believe this will answer your question. If you go to G11, that is a photo of the backside of the building, and it looks like there is a Honda Civic or some type of Honda vehicle parked there. And let me move this to there accordingly.
Okay, great, this is perfect.
Does that help?
It does. And what we see on the left of the car is some kind of structure with a lattice, and then it looks like a set of stairs that leads up to a door. Is that the current way that the apartment is accessed?
That's correct.
Okay. And is there any other way from inside the building that the apartment is accessed?
Do you know that answer? I haven't been in.
From the rear or from the front?
Anywhere?
In other words, his question is, to get into the apartment, is this the only way to get in the apartment, through that
Oh,
back door?
there's a front door I believe it's on Darby Road.
Okay, so somebody can get into the apartment off Darby Road. They can go upstairs and then, or they could go into the business.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And it is your hope that you would, or you have not, you said your testimony is that you have not submitted on this, but you were thinking about trying to create a second parking space back here?
Second parking space, yes.
Okay.
That would be separate from today.
Right.
That's a little bit of the cart before the horse, but that's the plan.
Okay. I don't have any other questions.
Is there anything else you'd like to add, David?
I have nothing further, sir. Is there anything you'd like to add? No. Okay.
Okay, any other questions? Jess? Ed?
Just one other question. The issue of how you arrived at the customer square footage, is there an exhibit that highlights that?
We just went off exactly what, if you look at Exhibit C, we're looking at the denial letter from the zoning officer, which does the computations there. So we took them at face value.
Could not find that right away.
There you go.
I apologize. I'll get it up here on the screen. The denial letter is on the screen.
Okay, so yeah. So you didn't try to, after what Jessica had asked you, Ms. Vitale here, concerning the customer service areas that you're going to restrict yourself to, would that change the amount of square footage that you'd be using for customers?
The square footage for the customers is approximately the 838 square feet. And again, to answer your question, that 838 square feet would not be accounting for the upstairs apartment.
That's not, my question is, you restricted yourself, approving of a condition to only have 2 areas to treat patients. So I don't know that how they arrived at the 838 square feet or how that may affect the amount of square footage available for customer service space.
Well, we would limit the customer service space to the 838 square feet.
Or you just make the rooms bigger? I don't know. There's nothing on here that shows what area was going to be available for customers.
The whole area down there is approximately 838 square feet, so we would limit it to that. We can make that as a condition, that it would be limited to that 838 square feet, if that's.
And where does that 838?
If that's where we are going.
You have a drawing, and it just has the floor plan with no measurement. So I don't know where that 838 square feet is.
That came from the zoning officer.
I know, but you don't have it on a drawing.
I don't have it on the drawing.
Right, okay.
That came from their application of how much area they would be using of the space.
Okay. So even if we approved it, we don't know where you're going to put the customer service space. You just know it's going to be 800 and some feet worth of space. And I don't know if that restricts you. I don't know how big a space has to be for a customer to be treated in a waiting room, which you shouldn't need a waiting room.
So I understand where you're going with this, and if we look at Exhibit G, sorry, I have to count these because I didn't. If you look at Exhibit G12 and G13, those are the photos. Do you have them there in front of you?
Not right in front, but go ahead.
If they're the last 2 pages of the packet, if you want to turn to those, it may answer your question. And what you'll see there, sir, is it's an open space. It's an open area. So Beren, Mr. Du can answer maybe a little bit more questions you have based on that. My understanding would be, and sir, correct me if I'm wrong, you have an open space area in there. I don't know if there's necessarily a need to create rooms, so to speak. It can still be functioning as an open space, but there are different areas within that open space where the services would be rendered. Is that fair to say?
That's right.
So you might have a chair at one space, you might have a table in one space, but it's all in that open space. I mean, maybe there might be something hanging, like a curtain, but there's not a need for construction, if that's what you're asking.
No, I was just worried about the actual space needed for the customers and for their treatment.
It's all contained in that open space.
I understand. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, Jesse? Jesse? Yeah. Anything else to add?
I have nothing further.
Okay. With that, I'll ask if there's anyone present that received certified mail. You guys can have a seat. Please come forward. So please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
And your full name and address for the record, please?
Stephen Mark Clott, C-L-O-T-T, 2024 Darby Road, Havertown. S-T-E-V-E-N.
And what would you like to tell us?
I bought the property in 1996. Behind the property, it's all private. There's no public parking back there. The locksmith made arrangements with a tenant upstairs to share the parking spot between daytime and nighttime. I can't read my writing. The upstairs was rented the whole time I was there. I'm still there. And There's metered parking in the front. I want to know how my customers are going to be affected if he has 9 spots that he's reserving. I don't know what off-parking means, whether it's metered, whether it's in the parking lot.
Okay, I can answer that question. Nothing is reserved. So just
what does
as
this mean?
all the businesses on Darby Road, you're well aware of this.
Well, what is the
they're
variance
public
for?
parking spots,
The variance is for parking.
because with any business on Darby Road, the township requires, the code requires a certain minimum number of parking spots to be provided by any business. There's no private lots for any of the business owners, including you, on Darby Road. So everyone sort of shares the metered spots and the.
What is my
public
minimum?
parking.
Nobody ever told me what my minimum was. My clients come and go all times of the day, whereas his are going to be scheduled.
Right.
Mine
But
walk
so
in.
If you sold your building and I bought it from you, I'd have to come to this board and tell them how many spots I would normally be required to provide and request a variance so that I could operate there, because there is no private parking lot for my clients to park.
My clients park in the municipal lot.
Right? And-
Why can't his?
And that's what he suggested, that there are municipal lots in the area, and they could use those. And there's also parking available on the street, the metered lots. So I think what he was also saying is that they don't anticipate needing 9. 9 is the requirement posed by the township. They anticipate needing far less and having scheduled appointments for their patients to come at pre-scheduled times. So
If you multiply the number of businesses by 9, you don't have that many spots.
that's exactly the problem with Darby Road.
So why even put this here? I mean, okay,
What's the alternative?
the alternative is park in the municipal lot or park at a meter and don't ask for more.
So they want to put their business at this location. The township
That's fine with
says
me.
For every square foot patron space, you're required to provide a parking spot. In this case, they're required to provide 9 parking spots. So they're coming to us for permission to not provide 9 parking spots because there's no way they can do that. There's no parking lot. So what they're arguing is there's metered spots on the street for people to park at, and there's municipal parking in the area. So that's why we should let them open this business, because there's other parking available, even though they can't provide it themselves on their own lot. You know what I'm saying?
I hear you now, but that's not what this says. This is asking for a variance for parking.
Right. That's the way it has to be presented. Otherwise, so they go to the township, they say, we want to open this business. The township says, what kind of business? Does some calculations, you need 9 parking spots. They say, we can't provide 9 parking spots, we don't have a parking lot. So the township says, well, then you have to go to the zoning board. And then they come to us, and that's how they come to be here tonight. So,
Okay, so everybody has a problem. The pizza place, everybody.
we know, but we have these cases all the time, and, you know.
Okay, so
And
why?
that's why the comprehensive plan, I think the commissioners are attempting to address this issue. It won't solve a parking problem, but it could potentially stop businesses that want to open on Darby Road from having to come to the zoning board each time for a variance.
Okay, and what is the denial for? This was not presented in here. Why was he
Denial
denied?
letter, because they went and said, we want to use an occupancy permit, and the township said, can you provide the 9 parking spaces that are required? And they said, we don't have a parking lot, but there's public parking, so, but you have to go to the zoning board for approval unless you can provide the spaces yourself.
So the zoning board denied him.
No, not the zoning board.
You denied him.
Don't point at me like
Right,
that. It looks
right.
so, jeez.
Look,
All right.
I'm speaking accounting language to him, Kel.
Right,
I'm an accountant.
so this actually might help. So you are an accountant, correct?
And what?
You're an accountant?
Yes.
Yes. All right, so if Mr. Kane, who is also an accountant, if you moved out, if he wanted to move into your space, no problem. I could sign off on that permit. It's, you know, the same space, the same amount of parking required, no issue whatsoever. When there's a change of use, like there is here, where it was an office, which requires 1 space for every 200 square feet of area, to 100, it's what, 200 square feet plus, it's late, my brain broke, I'm sorry, plus room for 1 space per employee, then you're requiring more parking than the previous use did. So once there's more parking required with that use, that's what triggers the zoning letter, that's why I deny it, that's what brings you here. But if it's like an even exchange or less parking that's required, but still a permitted use, then it's fine. Better? No? Yeah, I tried, all right.
So they're essentially here to get the parking waived.
I didn't hear you.
They're here to get their parking waived.
I still didn't hear you.
They're here to get their parking waived.
Okay,
That's essentially what it is in a nutshell, and I think we do have to move on. And with all due
okay, fine.
With all due respect, I think we're getting close to.
That sounds better for me.
Excuse me. I think we're getting close to giving out, you know, legal advice or opinions from the board before we've heard all the case, so we're going to move on off of that.
Okay,
But this is the venue in which this type of application has to come.
okay. And the locksmith went out. He didn't have customers come in.
Anyone else that received certified mail, regular mail? Any other residents of Haverford Township? Okay, and Mr. Henry, I assume you had no questions for Mr. Clott?
I have no questions.
Okay, and neither does the board? Is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, sir, we're complete, other than just moving all the exhibits into the record.
Okay, they're admitted. With that, we'll close the record on this case, and a decision will either be rendered this evening. In the event we're not able to reach a decision this evening, one would be rendered at our next regularly scheduled meeting on June 16th. So. All right, we're going to take a 5-minute recess.
We're back on.
All right, our next case is Z22-12, Murphy O'Connor LLC, owners of 300 Westchester Pike, Havertown, PA, DC folio number 2202-012810, who seek variances from the provisions of section 182-206B, 182-731A 11, 182-731B 8 and 9, to allow outdoor dining, private party, event area outdoors, where patrons will not be sitting/dining in conjunction with an existing non-conforming restaurant use within a residential district. Also from section 182-731A4 to allow amplified music within an outdoor dining area, and 182-727C1 to erect a 4-foot-high aluminum estate fence within the required front yard setback. Property is zoned R4 and located in the 2nd Ward. I know. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
And your full name and address? For the-
Thomas J. Rafferty, 408 Marple Road, 429 Marple Road, Broomall, PA.
Thomas, what is your capacity with the company?
I'm one of the owners.
And, go ahead, Paul, you want to do these?
Sure, we pre-marked 6 exhibits. I'll go through them real quick, hand them to you, make sure you hand them back to me at the end. Number 1 is a plot plan at the bottom of which it says 50 spots. Correct?
There should be a total beyond my over here.
I'm going to go through them all. Is this a
Okay.
plot plan that says 50 spots at the bottom?
Yep, correct.
Is this another plot plan that depicts says turf dining?
Correct.
Is this a handwritten plan of the interior of the premises? A3.
Correct.
A4 is an aerial view of the turf area and some of the park.
Correct.
A5 is ground level view of the turf area and the entrance on one side to the building.
Correct.
A6 is again another picture of the turf area with the outside dining, but looking away from the restaurant.
Correct.
And A7 are calculations of your interior square footage and exterior square footage. Is
Correct.
there anything else you would like to?
I do have a question with the first document I have. Have 50 spots. Total 73 spots.
You have an extra one of those, Thomas? Well, we're gonna keep it if you give it to us.
That's all right.
I'll just make this 8, Bill.
A8, yep.
Okay. Bill's gonna identify A8, and we'll make that an additional exhibit.
And Exhibit A8 is another plot plan that depicts and really separates where these spots are for a total of, your indication, 73 total spots. Is that correct?
Yep.
Yes, Cal. Cal, is it possible to do this? Or should we just pass it around?
That makes sense. If you've used stuff, if he's used up.
Oh,
I can scan it and send it to you.
I don't know how that.
I was gonna use one of mine.
I've never used favors up. I give credit to the bank. Okay. Thomas, please tell us a little bit about what you would like to do and why.
Yep.
Yes.
Good evening. I'd like to thank for the time here to go over this issue, and I especially want to thank Kelly. Was very, very helpful. I mean, she's very thorough, and she did a really nice job of at least helping us through the process of it, so I just want to give her some accolades. Tonight, we're seeking relief from the codes, as stated earlier. For those unfamiliar with us, we're a new establishment. Rebranded the yard. We were Tip O'Leary's. We still have a current owner from Tip O'Leary still in the business with us. We spent the last year and a half committed to renovating our pub to reflect the pride in our ownership. We feel that the township's blessing, we could solidify the location as a great gathering spot, which it is now. But the post-pandemic, it's with the extensive outdoor area provides a unique opportunity to the township residents to be able to gather in a social and very safe setting. Some who are uncomfortable dining inside. Additionally, the outdoor area abuts the quarry center and Coles primarily, so we feel we can do this with minimal disruption to nearby residents. In alignment with the township's embrace of the arts, we would love the ability to host local, musical, and outside events. We'd like to do this in a respectful manner with our neighbors in mind, and accept that permission will be confirmed to certain days and or hours. And we welcome any other suggestions to mitigate any concerns. That said, we have hosted a fair number of events prior. We had probably about a year and a half. We've had a bunch of events which we had years prior, with one complaint. We had one complaint in probably a year and a half. Now we didn't. I guess we've been having events there for years, and the same events come back. A lot of charity events, a lot of township events. And once we got the complaint, Kelly, I guess, looked into the codes and let us know that there was some specification we had to follow, but we weren't aware of that until we were let known that. So that's when we came through the process of having it here. So we're having it, but we were just unaware of the outside dining code that was set in 1980. Was it 83, I think? Lastly, we occupy a large frontage of Westchester Pike with multiple entrances to our building. I'm sorry, sir. Oh, I'm sorry. Lastly, we occupy a large frontage of Westchester Pike with multiple entrances to our building. The ability to erect a fence would greatly help, to allow our bouncers, security staff, to easily manage crowds and permit access to the building. We strive to be on the same level as some other local establishments in town who put much work in both their curb appeal and their food, beverage, and entertainment offerings. We firmly believe by allowing us to maximize our outdoor area, we can provide that currently missing piece in the township and a fresh social gathering place. The business community in Havertown is vibrant and as alive as well as ever. We feel lucky to be able to be located in a township that provides such a strong support to our local small businesses. By allowing us to maximize our outdoor area, we truly feel we'll be best able to meet the need of the township residents by providing a beautiful, fun place for our schools, sports teams, nonprofit organizations, local benefits, friends and family to come together in the Havertown tradition. As lifelong residents of Haverford Township, raising our own families here, we have vested interest in making sure we provide a fun, safe atmosphere where everybody feels welcome. We want to be good neighbors in respect to both our immediate physical neighbors as well as in the sense of being in complete compliance with township regulations. Any missteps up to this point have been out of ignorance, not malice. It is our sincere desire to remedy these issues as quickly as possible. And in closing, we'd like to thank you guys again for your time. And one last thing, we've had a lot of we have a lot of events that been going there for years, benefits. We probably host every baseball team and school fairs, at there because frankly there's limited venues where you can hold those events in Havertown. I think we'd rather have Havertown. Havertown sport, stay in Havertown for their events and their banquets, rather than having to go out of town. And I just think that would be a burden for them, and it would definitely be a financial burden for us to not have these events in the future when we had them for probably 15 years ago. 15. Yep.
Okay. So, Thomas, where do you want to put the fence?
There's an existing fence now on the Cole side, a brown solid fence that goes to the end, and we want to come off that fence line back to the building with a 4-foot black aluminum fence. There's already some. We put arborvitaes there now.
Along Westchester Pike, are you talking about?
Yes, yes. So, I mean, the reason for that is two big reasons. Is people come with their children. It's the main road right there. We like to make sure that God forbid a kid walks out, doesn't go into the traffic, and B, anybody entering the area that's underage. Yeah. So we can police that area and make sure that no one is sneaking in from the back area. There are two biggest issues really, security reasons and just for safety.
So did you plan to tie the fence into the building?
No, it'll stop right at the edge of the turf area there. So it'll come up right there. There's a patio. The patio stops. There's a concrete walkway from there back, concrete area. So basically we're coming.
So 40-inch high aluminum, like an estate type of fence?
Yes.
So you'll be able to see through it?
Oh, right through it, yep.
Okay. I always hold my questions to last, so we'll start. Ed?
Yes. Well, I'm not quite sure what you're really applying for here. So are you trying to say that you'd like to come in and try to get approval to operate this facility as part of the outdoor dining ordinance?
We have been operating that for years, having it with music, and a lot of times we have the benefits there where the benefit, whoever's holding the benefit will bring their band, will bring their DJ, and that's been going on for, 15 years. The same events come back every year.
Well, this tent wasn't there for 15 years.
I'm sorry?
This tent wasn't there for 15 years.
That's a party tent, that's for, that wouldn't be up all year round, if, on a bigger event, we would bring a tent up just for rain, but that wouldn't stay,
Parking lot wasn't there for 15 years with the the grass.
no, it was paved.
Yeah, right. It was a
Yep.
When did you start doing these type of events and get permits you got permits to operate these on a special event?
We did,
For how long?
a year and a half, I guess.
Okay, so not 15 years, okay.
Right. Now, prior to me being on, did you get, okay.
You have, I'm just going through some of the requirements of the outdoor dining ordinance. Do you prepare food outdoors?
No,
Is there an adjoining residential area?
no.
What is Vincent Road?
Vincent Road's down in the cold. They're behind us, yeah. They're behind, there's a creek, and then, so we're not,
Is that Vincent Road? No, that's not.
But it's adjacent to your
is
zone.
Vincent coming out, to be honest, I'm not sure, is Vincent coming out of Coles right there, is that?
I'm just looking at your plot plan on that, and that was a new one you gave me, so.
All right.
What are you talking
There
about?
we go.
Yeah, the one we just got handed.
Okay.
Where is it at?
Where did you say Vincent?
I know, I seen it on the plans. Got them upside down.
Oh, Vincent Road, yeah, Vincent Road is a road, it's actually a private road coming out of that, coming out of the shopping center towards Westchester Pike.
Is that what it's?
So there's no adjacent properties that are residential?
No,
Yeah, if I could stop you for a second.
sure.
All due respect, we have one sworn witness, and I can't have three people speaking at
Okay.
the same time. If you need to confer, step aside and confer, but it's really making life difficult for
Oh,
everyone.
sorry, okay.
What are your hours of operation normally?
Usually from 12 to 2 a.m.
That doesn't comply with the ordinance.
What's that? On the outside, I'm saying, for the outside dining, you're saying?
Yeah.
Um,
Can we just get sworn in? Can we get sworn in?
Yeah, you can,
oh, okay,
but only one of you can speak at a time.
okay.
So, you both want to be sworn?
Yeah,
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
And your full name and address, please?
Kathleen Murphy, 28 West Wilmot Avenue.
Wait, slow down, Kathleen. Kathleen Murphy. What's your address, Kathleen?
28 West Wilmot.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
And your full name and address, please?
Kelly Ann McLaughlin. 24 Upland Road, Haverford Town.
Okay. Go ahead, Ed.
So the hours of operation of the outdoor area?
So usually it's about between 9 and 10. Our kitchen closes half of the week at 9 o'clock and the other half around 10 o'clock.
So you have to
Weekends,
close
10.
at 11 at the latest, that's the ordinance, if you're not adjacent to a residential area. So 11, they'll cut off.
Yeah.
And you accept that? It does say that you have outdoor sound amplification. That's in violation of the outdoor dining.
Right.
Would you eliminate the outdoor?
We have since yeah.
I don't think he understood your question, Ed.
Yeah.
Why don't you ask it again?
Outdoor sound amplification systems are prohibited from the outdoor dining ordinance, in the outdoor dining ordinance. Would you accept the condition that outdoor amplification of sound would be used on this facility?
By accept the condition, he means if we approve your request, would you agree not to have amplified music outside? I just want you to make sure you understand what you're being asked.
We're looking to have outdoor music for special events, fundraisers. We have like Noah graduation coming up during the day. They want a DJ outside. So for events like that, we are looking, but we will get music permits for any events that people bring in music.
And I'm sure you'd agree to restrict the hours.
Oh,
As
yeah.
the later it gets, the more
Yep.
recognizable the sounds are to the adjoining.
11 o'clock is it's cut off, yeah.
Okay. I see that you use picnic tables. According to the outdoor dining ordinance, tables must be smooth and washable. You do not have that currently. Is that correct?
We do.
You have picnic tables that are washable, smooth? Aren't they wooden?
Yeah, they're sealed, yep, they're washable. We wash them.
Don't know. Okay, we'll have to find out. Kelly, could you answer that question? Oh, she's not here right now.
We have 4 wood picnic tables.
The rest are regular outdoor tables.
Kelly, if you could assist me here, would a picnic tables on the outside meet the requirements of the outdoor dining as being smooth and washable?
Yeah, they're meant for outdoor. That's the intent of the code.
Okay. Do you have a liquor license that allows outdoor serving?
Yes,
Under the tent, is that area have seating as well?
yes,
Are all patrons seated when they're served?
when, when they're eating, they're sitting down, yes.
Well, no, anybody that's served alcohol or served at the dining area must be seated to be able to be served. Is that currently, something that currently occurs?
Yeah, we have waitresses that go.
Yeah, yes, we have waitresses that serve them.
We do have like a
You can
buffet.
just
We have
answer.
like
You
a
don't
buff-
have to whisper to Thomas.
Oh.
So,
We do have like a buffet that we would put out for parties and stuff where people would get up and,
but you don't have 500 people jammed in there and just serving drinks to people that are walking around, right?
no, we have waitresses with like handheld things that go out and take orders for like the outdoor dining area. The private party that would be like in the tent, we would put up like a buffet and they would come up and get their plate and sit themselves down.
Okay, I'm not quite sure whether, I'm hearing somewhere else I had information that it was more of a gathering area and people used it as a party for music and they weren't actually setting and being served.
No, so some like fundraisers down there and like different events, like Manoa graduation for the 5th grade graduation, we'll put out like a buffet for the parents and the kids and they want to bring a DJ down. So they'll walk up to the buffet, get food, the waitresses will be out there to help everybody. So like certain things like that, but 90% of the time we have waitresses doing table service out there.
So in that little rundown, I'm not sure that you meet the criteria for outdoor dining. So I'm not sure how we're going to move forward. Your application.
I don't know what doesn't meet it.
Well, you're not necessarily serving people sitting down. You're having outdoor amplification of music.
Well, if I can say something, during the pandemic, we learned a lot during the pandemic of everything that we had to offer people. When no one had anywhere to go, they came to us. We had the outdoor dining. We weren't allowed to have people inside. So it opened up our eyes to the outside. People come, families come, people with dogs come because they can sit outside, have a bite to eat, and relax. So that's what opened up our eyes, because like the pandemic opened up a lot of eyes to a lot of different ways to make money, to bring people into the township. But, well, most of the people that come there are from the township. They come with families to sit and relax, enjoy their, and if they want a cocktail, they want a cocktail. But, I mean, it is what it is. It's a fun place to come and enjoy family time. That's how we look at it.
Yeah, I appreciate that, and I understand where you're coming from, but the ordinance in place is other people might want to do that too. And if everybody was allowed to do it, it could cause a lot of problems. That's why they have the ordinance preventing some of these things from occurring. So in other words, just because you're doing it, when you're doing it without the approval of zoning and the codes office, doesn't mean that we can approve it for outdoor dining if it doesn't meet the requirements.
But with no disrespect, it led us to that with the pandemic. No disrespect to anybody, but that's what opened up our eyes to it. And why was it okay then, but it wouldn't be okay now?
I got you. Westgate Pub, for example, is one that wanted to do a beer garden outside, and they didn't meet the requirements, so they could not have one. So there's other bars and restaurants and facilities that wanted to do this.
But in fairness,
We're not a beer garden.
Westgate backed up directly to residential homes on Wilson
That's correct.
Avenue. Roosevelt.
That's in the ordinance as well, different restrictions for their time limit and also the buffer would be required, so they could still meet it if they did those type of things. So, yeah, there was a special, I believe the township issued a special thing for outdoor dining during COVID, and now that is closed, so, from what I understand. I have no other questions.
Jessica?
What is directly behind your property?
Facing the back of the building. There's some woods, a creek, some more woods in that homes.
Okay, so there are residential properties backing up to your property.
On one of the lots, not the turf lot, there's nothing behind us. There's,
I hear you, Mike.
sorry. On one of the lots, I think we're on 2 lots, if I'm not correct, or we pay taxes on 2 lots. The one lot where the turf area is, there's nothing behind us. There's a fence and just woods, and you're basically into Lou's back parking lot. On the front lot, like the front parking, there is a couple homes after the woods and the creek.
And have you ever heard any complaints from those homes? of
No,
that
they
sound
actually
or
come.
noise? Okay. And then your parking plan, Exhibit A8, which indicates 73 spots. A lot of these spaces look like they were drawn in somewhat haphazardly. Do you have all these spaces painted
Yes.
in the lot?
Yes,
And do you have measurements of all of the drive
yes,
aisles?
they're legal
Because-
size parking lots, yep.
And when were these parking spaces striped?
When they did the lot.
No, it was after they did the lot.
If you guys want to confer, please step back. You're going to kill our.
Oh, I'm sorry.
She's got to type down each of your answers, so.
We had the lot repaved, and then I would say, I don't know what I'm remembering. 3 weeks after that, which would be, when we get that done? I forget when we had it done, to be honest with you. Within the last, I guess it was last summer, so I would say maybe September, October.
Okay, so recently.
Yes.
And then how often are you currently scheduling events?
Scheduling what? I'm sorry.
Events,
Say that one, I'm sorry.
events.
We have not scheduled any events after we were told.
Well,
About-
prior to the being told you could not have events, how often were you having them?
We probably had about 10 outside events, it was? 10 outside events,
Total for the year?
total, yes.
Okay, thank you. I have no further questions, Bob.
Jesse?
Staying on A8, I'm having trouble coming up with the 73 spots, but maybe you can help me. Maybe I'm missing something.
Sure.
On the left-hand side, there's an 11, a 22, 7, and a 10, and that equals 50.
Correct.
There, on the right, where you have 23, there is a 10, a 5, and a 9, which is 19. Am I missing 4 more?
We have 1, 2, 3, 4 here.
Oh, that was okay, so 4
Yeah.
and 5 and 10 is 19. Where's 4 more to get 23?
Right here, these ones here.
That's
Yeah.
4 more? Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. And, okay, so then you've helped me point out how you got to 73 spots. And so that's current today, you could fit 73 spots.
Yes,
And that the turf and the tent, those took over some parking spots that were previously available?
they did.
Okay. And on Exhibit 7, which was your calculations, you have a grand total of 7,143 square feet, and that would require 72 spaces. So your 73 that you indicate on A8 would provide enough
Correct.
parking to meet the code?
Yep.
Okay. not sure if this next question is for the applicant or for Kelly. I don't know what the difference between a special use and an accessory use, or special use that requires a permit versus an accessory use. Where do we draw the line in the township? So I guess that's a question for Kelly.
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, a special event, I think, is something that happens a few times a year. Maybe on a holiday, maybe some other sort of special event that property or the business is holding. When it gets to a point where there are, multiple events being held in a space that's not permitted to be occupied with that use multiple times a week, multiple times a month, multiple times a year, you're start to clearly exceed what would be considered a special event to what would be considered an accessory use. And that is what we have deemed is going on here.
And do we further distinguish a restaurant use from a rental, more like a rental hall use or outdoor rental use?
We don't have anything that's an outdoor rental use. We do have a use that is a meeting place or an event space. That's generally a principal use. I would say that it's reasonable to say that an event space is an accessory use that's generally permitted within a restaurant. Most places do allow for private parties and things like that. Some places do have special or separate rooms for those things, and I think that's reasonable. But when you're actually outside of the footprint of the area that you are permitted to occupy with your principal use, and adding that accessory use within that outdoor space, that's what's bringing us here.
Okay. No other questions for now.
Thomas, tell me a little bit more about the music. I'm concerned about the music. I'll just be honest with you, right?
Okay.
Because especially at night, when the evening comes and all the other ambient noise goes away, you can really hear music and it'll echo. And, I don't want on a regular basis for people to hear that. You'll get a lot more complaints and the tide will turn against you. But if that were the case, how often do you really have amplified music?
We, basically, the area is really only open from, say, April until probably the end of September. I mean, 5 months.
And
It's
if
open.
this was approved, would you accept that as a condition, that it only be open from April to September?
Yes.
How loud does it get? I'm real familiar with the property and everything, so.
Well, we haven't, in all the events that we have not gotten, I know we had one phone call, which actually brought the situation up, unbeknownst to us, we didn't. But we had one phone call out of all the events. And with that, we mitigated that by moving, like, we had them on like an angle on the stage when they were playing on an angle, so then we turned them straight towards Coles. So now the music just goes that way. I mean, you could still hear it, but it definitely made a big difference because we drove, and, we drove to see the difference, and you could totally see a big difference.
So
We don't want any complaints.
You have the amplifiers faced toward Coles.
Correct.
And
And it wasn't prior to that one call.
what's the latest that you really feel you need to have amplified music? Like,
Well, we shut it off at the time it's supposed to at 11 o'clock on the dot. I mean, if we had to, we would absolutely, discuss, at an earlier time. That would work.
what do you think's reasonable?
Probably, I would say maybe 10 o'clock.
And is it usually a band or a DJ?
I think
When
we
it's a
had.
band, do you bring them in and for entertainment, or is it a party?
We do. We will bring bands in for entertainment, but we also have events that had bands they brought. There was, if I can go, Kathy does pretty much all the scheduling. You can put, and Kelly would.
That's
if I
all
could-
right. I'm just asking
Okay.
generally, not specifically.
Usually we bring in like the old news band on like a Sunday afternoon. Events usually run like 7 to 10 at night, like a fundraiser, like a night fundraiser. And they're usually either bring a band or a DJ. But I mean, I would think 10 o'clock would be more than enough to at least.
Hey, you guys have something for Eagles games too sometimes, don't you?
We had, well, we only had we had the one,
Not a band, but don't you have like?
we actually only had one, kind of event, but it wasn't even like an event. We just had a DJ out there. It wasn't really successful, so we didn't really have any more.
Maybe the Eagles will be better this year.
What's that?
Hopefully.
Do you have any other questions, Jess? Ed?
I know.
Jesse?
Oh, can I just say one more thing? The only other thing that we had was the big event there, which, with the dates that we spoke about, we have the March to St. Patrick's Day, which is a big event that's,
Yeah, so that
yeah,
would
it's a
be.
2 weekends thing. That's the only other thing we would have. And frankly, even in the summer, because it's, a lot of people are down at the Jersey Shore or away, we don't really schedule that many because no one's there, so it's not
Yeah, we just have a lot of graduation.
graduation party. We're more party oriented, some.
I just wanted to say something.
I want us to go into the,
I just wanted to say something. I do all the bookings of the parties, and a lot of people have asked if they could have music at the parties. And now I tell them until we hear from the township and this is all straightened out, no. So people are a little disappointed. They're day parties, but I still tell them, no, I'm sorry, you can't. How about if we bring this, that? We're trying to really follow all the rules here that we can, because we love the township and we
well,
want people to
Kathleen,
come.
would non-amplified music work there, like acoustic band or something?
There's like there's so many different fundraisers that we've had through the years that bring the same band or like somebody they know, like basically volunteering their time. So it's like kind of like a yearly, like I could name.
And I just booked today the state troopers that were killed, and the 2 that were killed on 95. So they came to me today, Patty Rooney, and he came to me and he said, how about if we have the fundraiser here, because you have all this space? And I said, yes. And he said, we have a lot of people that want to play music outside. And I said, not until we get everything straightened out can we do this. But it's not like they're bringing big loud bands, but it's people volunteering times for all these events that we have. And we do host a ton of events at the yard.
Did you talk to about that? We're
I talked to Patty Rooney today, yep.
doing a joint thing with Mac's family for both of them?
For both, yeah, the guys from Bonner or something that passed away, the state trooper. So we're gonna donate all the food and we're gonna have the fundraiser there. But the first thing they asked me was, how about music? And I said, we would love to have music, but we wanna get approval and we wanna follow the rules.
Well, our job gets tricky because we have residents that these ordinances are written to protect, right? And, it's a fine line, and it takes cooperation between businesses and the residents. It's good that you haven't had many noise complaints, but you've sort of been operating on these special permits that you get downstairs, and that's fine, but this is a more permanent thing. So we need to do the best we can, if the application's approved, to build in some restrictions so people feel, like they're not gonna put their kids to bed at 10 o'clock at night or 10:30, 11 o'clock and have them woken up by music. Or like me, go to bed at 8 or 9 or 10 o'clock and be woken up by music. So let's take a 5-minute recess and go in the caucus room. I have a question for Bill Malone.
Okay.
All right. Anybody have any other questions for Thomas or Kathleen or Kellyanne? Jessica?
I would just like to request that you provide us with a professionally surveyed parking plan showing dimensions of the parking spaces and the drive aisles.
Sure.
Prepared by an engineer.
Sure.
Ed?
No other questions.
Jesse?
No.
Okay, and neither do I. So I'm going to continue the case so you could bring that to the next hearing on June 16th. But we are going to hear from the residents tonight.
Okay.
And then the hearing will continue on the 16th. Okay, is there anything you guys wanted to add before I hear from the residents?
No, I mean, we are, you know, if we can help the residents anyway, you know, I grew up in Haverford Town, I was a resident for 48 years. I don't want to upset anybody, you know, I don't want when someone to be upset, and we'd be more than happy to give her numbers, or we'll do whatever it takes to make it work, you know. We absolutely don't want any issues, and so, you know, call the restaurant, and we'll be more than happy to work with somebody, and really, I mean that, you know, whatever. Because I understand if it's a problem, we can mitigate it.
Well, let's hear, I'm going to hear from them now. We'll
Sure.
hear what they have to
Yep,
say.
thank you.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
With that, I'll ask if there's anyone present that receives certified mail, regular mail, any other residents of Haverford Township? You can come up first, yeah. And please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I will. I do.
And your full name and address for the record, please?
My name is Geraldine Haupt. I live at 113 Joanna Road. You'll find that behind the yard. I never really complained about it, but I have to tell you that I lived on a quiet street until 2020. And the yard would have their events. The music was extremely loud. I did not call anyone. I didn't know who to call, to tell you the truth, but I tolerated it. And there are a lot of new neighbors that have moved to the street with young babies. I don't know how their babies were sleeping, but I wasn't sleeping very well. And I just feel like if they want to continue with the operation, that maybe afternoon events are okay, because the music is not, it's not a violin. It's a big, everything that's loud and disturbing the neighborhood. Now, the Richland Park is right next to their property. So there's no barriers to keep that sound contained. So I think something really has to change. I think they're good people. I think they're doing what they feel is a good thing for others and fundraisers. But I do think that we used to have a very calm neighborhood. And it's very upsetting that I have to really report it. I don't know who else called, and I could probably go from door to door to find out if all my neighbors are as disappointed and bothered by the loud music. So I leave that with you, and hopefully between you and the group that's there, because I think their intentions are good, but I think adjustments have to be made. And I appreciate it.
What kind of adjustments are you thinking of, Geraldine? Like,
Well, if you hear loud music till 11 o'clock at night, that's a long period of time, you know. And not only that, you have to keep your doors closed so you're buffering the music. So I think changing it to a lesser time, or because they used to have music inside the building before, but then I think they changed a room that used to be the bar and the music, but now it's outside. And I guess they feel that it's what they wanted to do. I don't know who approved it, and maybe the pandemic contributed to the outside events. And I think I don't know what their limited time is or what the township feels, but is there any other event that's held like this in Havertown? That's the question I posed to you.
well, what time, if there were music, what time do you think is reasonable to?
I think till 9. If you have people that are having a party and they're having dinner, In the summer, you have longer hours, so even if they stop at 9 o'clock, and that they try to find musical groups that are a little bit softer, I think that might work. But it's not my decision. I'm just putting in what I've experienced.
Any questions for Geraldine?
No, thank you. I do.
Thank you.
Yeah, how long have you been a resident in your home?
I'm sorry.
How long have you lived in your home?
Since 1982.
And
Even before that, I was on a different street, but I'm on Joanna Road now.
has that always been a establishment, a restaurant, as long as you've been?
Yes, it's always been there.
And so
Yes.
you've mostly talked about the music. Have any patrons disturbed you? Or is it just the music that's been a bother?
Well, I think the patrons they're okay. I mean, it's not like they were wild and woolly. I just think there's nothing to break the sound barrier. It's just open space. And that wall that they want to put up, I guess that's another question for you to answer, but that doesn't help the sound at all. That's not a sound barrier.
Do you mean the fence to the street?
Pardon me?
I think they were talking about putting up a fence. I don't recall any testimony about
Yeah,
adding a
I don't
wall.
know if that would increase in numbers. They said 10 events. I'm sure it'll increase in number if they get full permission. And so I don't think it's just going to be 10. So maybe it's a good time to speak up about it, maybe making adjustments.
No other questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for listening.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, all the truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? And your full name and address for the record?
Lisa Dowdy, 14 West Park Road. Dowdy, Dowdy.
What was your address again, Lisa?
14 West Park Road in Haverford Town.
And what would you like to tell us?
I think I'm the closest house to the bar, and it was there when I moved in. I have no issues with the bar. I have to say I was a little surprised that they are asking for amplified music, because I can sit on my front porch. We have a nice porch swing. We sit out there all the time. We karaoke on Wednesday or Thursday nights with them. So the music has, in the last year and a half, gotten a lot louder. I'm really surprised that they're wanting to be even louder. This is with the indoor events, so I have an issue with the amplified music. And she does do a lot of good for the neighborhood, and I get that, but I do have a problem with, it goes right down Park Road with the music, so if I can walk my dog on East Park and hear it clearly. And some nights it's 12:30, so that's my issue.
Okay. Any questions?
No.
Jesse?
Thank you. West Park Road, you're across Westchester Pike?
Yeah, I'm right behind the public storage.
And, okay, and the music has been an issue for you?
Yes.
Any issues with patrons, or is it just the music?
Well, once in a while, we get the people that don't want to park in Coles, I guess they think the cops aren't going to get them, and they go up Lanark Avenue. But aside from that, no.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other residents?
Actually, can I ask you a question? Sorry. You said that patrons who don't want to park in Cole come up and park in Lanark.
A lot of them park in Coles.
Do you find that the parking lot is
over
full?
there.
Okay, so in your opinion, the parking lot is often full and patrons have to park at Kohl's or elsewhere?
A lot of people do park in Coles.
Okay, thank you.
But do you know why?
I would assume because the parking lot's not that large. And I think they took away some of the parking lot when they put the grass or the turf down.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
did not receive a letter, but I am a resident. Can I make a
Sure. Please raise your right hand. Do you
Okay.
swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes,
And your
I
full
do.
name and address, please?
Okay, my name is Carol Rosano. It's Razzano, and I live on the 400 block, 455 Olympic Avenue in Haverford Town.
And what would you like to tell us,
Okay,
Carol?
just for the location of my house, I am a block up from, I'm not directly behind the restaurant there, but I'm a block over to the right. And music is never an issue. Maybe it's because I'm a block over. But I have to say, like, I've been to the establishments plenty of time. I don't know these people, but we always have a good time. The residents on my street, they're always talking about everything's positive. They do a lot for the community, and I hear this from other residents on my block. I've been there myself plenty of times. The wait staff is great. People are having a good time. It's a controlled environment. I drive by in my car a lot, always a nice crowd, no craziness, it's controlled. I'm just speaking up because, you know, when you get something like that, people that, it's a business, and we don't have, you know, in my opinion anyway, we don't have enough good businesses in the township, so I'd hate to see somebody like not being able to progress their business and do good things for the community, because they do give back. And like I said, I mean, I've been there myself, and I've never seen anybody out of control or anything like that. So I just thought I came here on another issue tonight. When I saw this, I'm like, I have to speak up. Okay?
Well, thank you.
All right?
Anybody have any
Thanks
questions for Carol?
Thanks for hearing me out.
Anybody else? Come on. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
And your full name and address for the record?
Jennifer Coughlin, and it's 509 Nailers Run Road. I'm actually right up the street from the yard.
509?
Yes. I just came tonight to kind of speak up for the yard. I'm going to speak as a sports mom and all the events because we benefit from it. My son plays for the Haverford Hawks, Haverford Middle School hockey. My daughter played for Hilltop. My son actually played for Hilltop before he moved to hockey. We have had so many events here, and we've benefited from this space. We've benefited from being able to bring DJs and entertainment to bring on crowds that normally wouldn't come for your kids' event, but will come for the entertainment, which gives money to the benefit, which gives money to the township, to the sports event. Can't tell you how many events we've had where it really has gone back to the Haverford Hawks. It's gone back to Hilltop baseball, softball, and it's been a wonderful thing. And I've participated, I've helped plan it. They are absolutely lovely people to work with. The staff, I heard you say that too. Just when you go there, you just are there. Your kids are having a good time, you're having a good time. And the space and the benefits that have occurred I've never seen it late at night. I got to speak to that. I mean, I have children that I'm bringing to these benefits, and we are home way before 11 o'clock at night, so I've never seen anything.
What time do your events usually end, Jennifer?
I would say benefits are usually like 3 hours.
So 9 o'clock?
9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. So, you know, you got to pack up, you got to clean up, you got to go.
But the music goes off usually 9 o'clock?
I would say like latest probably 10, depending on the benefit. I've actually participated in some of the events they've had, what they were speaking to that are for other benefits I've shown up for, but I was just speaking as a sports mom. And before because I helped plan it for the Hawks and Haverford Middle School hockey, we actually had to go to other places before that space was available. And we were going to Upper Darby to Casey's. And it wasn't the same amount of people that were showing up, and it was just parents that were giving back. And as a parent, I'm already paying for my son's hockey, and then I'm paying for the benefit that we're raising money. So to have the opportunity that you have, I'm from Nailers Run Road, the surrounding areas, we've had people walk up to come join in on a, a benefit. The wristbands are cheap. It's a good night, outdoor, live entertainment. It's been really great for the township, and it's been really great for my kids' sports. So I just wanted to show up tonight and just
Thanks,
give some
Jennifer.
positive things. Thank you.
Questions for Jennifer?
No, great.
No question.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay. So, Thomas, we're gonna continue the case to our next hearing. And I just want to be sure you understand what it is that Jessica requested about the parking lot. Actual dimensions. There's no problem. Probably behoove you to have who does that sort of thing? A civil engineer draw out the diagram for you.
I should be able to get that done right.
Okay.
I know I measured them.
Okay.
No problem.
Oh, good. Well, thank you. And with that, this case is continued to our next meeting on June 16th. You're welcome.
Thanks.
You ready? You're welcome. You ready for that decision?
Yeah.
Yes, are you ready?
Who's doing the paint? Who's doing paint?
No. You are. Wait, you have
Oh, it's in 10. Yeah, Lee. I was going to Lee.
Lee's. McNulty, we kick to the next meeting. Paint away, Jessica. Oh, she
No,
wants to.
she's denied.
Jess, you want to do 08, right?
I'm doing that one.
You have 10. Ed. Want to do paint away?
Which one?
Paint away?
Okay.
If you don't want to, you don't have to.
No.
You're okay? I just want Ed, you,
On that one?
yeah,
Yeah. With the conditions that we talked about.
okay. All right. So now. Yep. Good idea. Only the greatest ideas. Let's give it more time. All right. So with respect to the three new cases that we heard, one of 4 new cases, one of which has been continued to the next hearing. With respect to case Z2208, Raymond and Cassandra McNulty, owners of 104 Peach Lane, Haverford Town, PA. I won't read the rest of the description into the record unless someone specifically requests that I do so. I know I announced the decision for 6/16, but I would ask, Jesse, are you prepared to vote this evening?
I'm prepared.
Ed, are you prepared?
Yes.
Jessica, are you prepared?
I am.
And Jessica, would you like to take that decision?
Yes, I would vote to deny the application.
Ed?
I concur.
Jesse?
I concur.
And I would vote to approve it. That application's denied, 3-1. With respect to case Z22-10, Lee Campbell, owner of 1305 Roosevelt Avenue, Havertown, PA, DC Folio 2201-016000. I won't read the rest of the description into the record unless someone specifically requests that I do so. Jessica, are you prepared to vote?
I am.
Ed, are you prepared?
Yes.
Jesse?
I am.
And so am I.
I'm taking it.
Ed, Jesse, you want to take that decision?
I'll take that decision. With respect to case C22-10, I would vote to approve the variance with the following conditions. Rainwater shall be managed so as not to negatively impact the neighbors. The only utility will be electricity. The project will be completed within 1 year and in accordance with the notes of testimony.
And Jesse, do you mind if we add one condition to that, that the porch not be fully enclosed?
Oh, yes, yes, I meant to add that one. Yes, I would accept that additional condition, that the porch not be enclosed in the future.
Jessica, how do you vote?
I agree.
Ed?
I agree.
And so do I. That application is approved 4-0. With respect to case Z 22-11, Pain Away of Philly, Inc., doing business as Bonafide and Do Real Estate Holding, LLC. I won't read the rest of the description into the record unless someone specifically requests that I do so. Jessica, are you prepared to vote?
I am.
Ed, are you prepared?
Yes.
Jesse, are you prepared?
Yes.
So am I. Ed, do you want to take that decision?
Yes. Mr. Chairman, I vote to approve the requested variance with the following conditions. 1, restrict the number of patients to only scheduling 1 at a time. 2, employees should be restricted to not more than 2. 3, to be done in accordance with the notes of testimony. And 4, to be completed with 1 year of final approval. I will not do that. I want one more than he said.
Jessica?
I agree.
Jesse?
I agree.
And so do I. That application's approved 4-0. And that's it. Any other administrative business?
No.
No? Ed?
We have minutes pending, and they should be in by the next meeting.
Yeah, they're done. I just didn't go back to the office.
Okay. Just anything from you? All right. Cal, we're all square. With that, we are adjourned. Have a good night.
Thank you, good evening.
Take care. Good luck.